You're gonna sit here and meow, aren't you? Yeah, I bet you are. Every single time. Croeso friends, welcome back to Opus Illini. This week we are doing something a little bit different because everyone is still socially isolated and feeling a little bit cabin feverish. One of my favorite bloggers and YouTubers, So Loud, has put together a list of 20 questions for historical costuming and Costuber channels to answer. So instead of making something this week, I thought that we would play 20 questions and come up with some hopefully informative, definitely fun answers today. Everyone grab your cuppa, which for me happens to be a nice tall glass of water today because I am finding it very difficult to remember to remain hydrated. And let's get into it. So this tends to get interesting because when I was growing up, I lived very close to my local Renaissance festival and I loved it. It was less of a Renaissance festival and more of a medieval fair based around King Arthur. So obviously it stuck with me. So my first costume happened to be pieces for that Renaissance festival. Mostly they were very simple puffy sleeve chemises and circle skirts to wear with a store-bought bodice or corset at that time. And I do have a couple of silly, embarrassing pictures of when I was very young and either just attending or beginning to work for that Renaissance festival. As I got older and more into the historical aspect of the historical sewing community, I started really being interested in medieval clothing and authentic medieval clothing. And when I first got into the Society for Creative Anachronism, the very first dress that I ever made myself was this green linen dress, and the second one that I ever made was this gray linen coat hardie or front lacing kirtle. And those are my very first costumes. Oh, there are so many. I just love them all. There are a lot of things that I'm very proud of, from figuring out how to do a hinged two-part sleeve to making my very own pattern from measurements that I took on myself, draping that I did on myself, to a late period Jacobean waistcoat, which is probably the most recent thing that I've done that I've been very proud of or very pleased with how it came out. One of these days I'm going to actually have to put it on and take a few photos because I don't actually have any pictures of me wearing it other than trying it on over modern clothing, and that just doesn't quite look right. The outfit that I'm most interested in making right now, most excited about making right now, is probably my manuscript challenge. This image from The Romance of Alexander. I just finished up making the hood recently, my last video, and doing that has rekindled my excitement for the project and my excitement to make this outfit as authentically as I can and as close as I can to the original manuscript image. So I actually right over there have my green material that's sitting there, and I'm debating about how I want to do the underdress. In some reproductions of this image, it looks like it might be a changeable or iridescent fabric. In some, it just looks gray. So I'm undecided as to how I want to handle that, but while I figure that out, I can make the overdress, and I'm pretty excited about that. Strangely, I love making bias tape. I know that that's a very weird thing to love, but I kind of do. There's something incredibly satisfying about being able to cut one continuous spiral of bias tape all the way from start to finish that I really enjoy. And I know that that's really strange. Sewing task that I hate, gathering things. I hate it. I hate running gathering stitches. I hate trying to gather on the machine. I hate it so much that I actually bought myself a ruffling foot for my sewing machine just so that I didn't always have to do it. Wool. I'm in the SCA, so almost all of the events that I ever go to are the latter. The lovely thing about the SCA is that it encourages people to do research and to dress as anybody pre-1600. The bad thing about the SCA is that it encourages people to research and dress in anything pre-1600. No, that's not a bad thing. I actually really love it. And I love seeing people get very excited about all of the things that they are personally interested in. So that is definitely not a drawback, even a little bit. However, what it does mean is that events where everyone happens to dress consistently in a specific time period and place tends to not happen very often. Even though we may be having an event that has the theme of the Battle of Hastings, not everybody is going to show up in English or French 1066 period clothing. That's just not how that works. That's just not how it happens. And that's okay. But it does mean that I actually have never been to an event where a strict geographical and time period boundary has been enforced, and I'd actually really love to try it. I like both. I right now would just really love to have a very small intimate dinner with all of my friends around a table with candles, and everybody brings just a dish that is within a specific time period, or even, you know, pre-Enlightenment, pre-1600, and just have a very small themed dinner. That would be so amazing. I miss my friends so much, and I would love to see them. Yes, I have a kid who is 9, and I have a full-time job, and I have another very small business on the side creating paintings and watercolor. And between all of that, I don't often have enough time to put into hand sewing my garments. That being said, I really love hand sewing, so I like to split the difference and sew long seams or foundational seams on my sewing machine, which cuts down on the time that it takes to sew something. However, I will hand finish all of my seams. I like flat felling all of my seams. It adds a lot to the way that a garment drapes. It adds a lot to the durability of the garment, and it also allows me to indulge in hand sewing without feeling like I will never get anything done because it is taking so long. It doesn't matter, nobody sees it. Most everything that I do is of an era where women my age who are married or who had been married, have a child, would have covered their hair. My hair is almost as long as my child is tall, and it doesn't matter because you can't see it. It is all tucked up under both a veil and a Sempergita cap. Even when I do something later period like Elizabethan or Tudor, I still have a coif on. Generally, the only time that my hair is on display at an event is if I'm wearing Roman. I generally don't have anything covering my hair, but even then sometimes I still wear a veil. Roman women still wear veils, so a lot of times you can't even see my hair anyway. I'm not limiting it to just costume things. Number 1, bad Baroness buttons. These are two ladies who make SCA themed and historically inspired metal buttons. And they are amazing and I love them, and buying from them means both supporting a small business and also not having to make my own buttons. Number 2, Vogue Medieval. This business is actually run by a friend of mine, Violet, who has started creating custom-made fabric stamping supplies. Number 3, Feed the Ravens. Not only is it a Corvid themed shop, which makes it have a very special place in my heart, but if you are interested at all in Scandinavian culture around the migration period, i.e. Vikings, then these people are exactly what you are looking for. Scott and Maggie are amazing and they do amazing work and research, and they also work with a lot of European artisans to recreate some of these actual extant finds from different Scandinavian grave sites. Number 4, Scribble Workshop. This is another small business run by a friend of mine, Lucas Tucker, who is an educator, a scientist, and a creator of fine scribal goods. He makes everything from quills to reproduction illuminations to handmade ink and paint and many more things that are staples in my own scribal kit. Number 5 is Tabletop Tees. I have mentioned them on my videos before. They are not technically anything associated with costuming or historical goods. However, Tanya is a very dear friend of mine and puts a lot of thought and a lot of effort into all of her tea blends, which are amazing. And if you are in need of something to put in your teapot, I definitely recommend that you check out Tabletop Tees, which is a geeky themed tea company. And links to all of these will be in the description box below. I don't actually know how to narrow it down to 5. Number 1, Daisy Victoria. Her channel covers the gamut between cosplay, historical clothing, fantasy couture, and educational content. Her videos are engaging and I just love watching them because she looks like she is having so much fun making them. 2, Elin Abrahamson. I love me a good medieval clothing channel, and Elin is one of those people who is just the most ethereal medieval person ever. I love watching her experiment with dye stuffs and with different clothing shapes, and I have a soft spot for people who do rigorous research. 3, Snappy Dragon. I enjoy this channel immensely. I just fell in love with the enthusiasm behind it and the realness and down-to-earth nature of the channel, and I just think that everybody should go and check it out. It is one of my favorites. 4, Kara Mack. This is actually a friend of mine, a quite good friend, both in and out of the SCA. She does the most amazing bardic performance-related stuff. There is not a whole lot up on her channel yet because we only just started filming some of her performances, and then everything happened before we could film some more. But there are a few things up there right now, and if you want to go check out her channel, that would be fantastic. 5, Not Your Mama's History. It is no surprise to anybody familiar with the reenactment community in general and the SCA in particular that it tends to be a very white hobby. There is generally a lack of people of color, reenactors of color involved for several reasons. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about is amplifying the voices of those reenactors of color that are in my community, either in my specific SCA community or in the wider community of reenactment and historical costuming in general. Chania McKnight is an amazing historian and reenactor. She speaks to a wide variety of experiences, not only historical experiences, but experiences as a reenactor of color. And it has been amazing being able to widen my own understanding of the world through her channel. So thank you very much for that. Gray. I do love lavender and all shades of purple as well, but if I was going to pick one, it would be gray. Yes, I love them both for very different things. Modernly, I tend to really enjoy sparkly things and shimmery anything, but historically speaking, pearls are generally the way that I would go. I would love to go to the Victoria and Albert Museum. There is a wide variety of things there that I would love to see and to make appointments to handle in person. Gin and tonic, definitely. Yep. Do I have to just pick one? There's so many. I would say probably Morgan Donner. She and I do a lot of the same things in terms of things that we do in the SCA. She is in my SCA community, wider SCA community. We live nowhere near each other, but it would be fun, I think, just to meet her and hang out. Plain. Mostly make your own. A lot of the things that I do are based on rectangular construction, which is just rectangles and triangles based on the measurements of a particular body. So I don't even use patterns for most of those things. I do have a couple of patterns that are not commercial, but that I did not make. My doublet pattern was drafted for me by my friend Simona, and my cohorty pattern currently was also drafted and draped on me by Skadian, who is no longer living in this area, but before she moved away, I had her drape a pattern for me. Favorite era to wear is probably, honestly, a toss-up between late Roman and 14th century. I love 14th century for the silhouette, and I love the way that that particular shape looks on my body. Roman is just so comfortable to wear here in the summer. But I do also have a soft spot for migration era Scandinavian or Viking and late period Tudor working class. So those are probably all of my favorite eras to work in. For this video, I might say that one thing you don't know about me is how long my hair is, but now you all know. Possibly that I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in watercolor and drawing, and that I also do a lot of painting modernly, so I guess maybe that. Why am I so bad at this? I'm gonna edit all that out.